Okay, good afternoon, gents. Hope everyone is well. Arminas, how you doing? Speedy, good morning. Okay, so I have my third PA has just gone live thanks to the 1 day pass. So I just needed to do a micro. I'd already hit the $3,000 target. I needed to do a micro. So just to clarify what I'm personally doing, I've got one of these, that top one. Sorry, let's rephrase. I've got two of these set at one contract. That's the top one and the new one. And I've got the one in the middle there set at two contracts, just to give one the potential for a little bit of boost. But most of them, well, the two of them, I say most, there's only three, are just set at one contract, just to keep things slower, less risk, and so on and so forth. So we have had some news this morning, a little bit of a spike here, but nothing more. We've got some medium impact stuff, doesn't usually play a part. I have it on here anyway, but it doesn't usually play a part. All-time highs up here, so I did wonder whether we had a big channel there, which we'd had a break from temporarily, so it does seem to be a leg and a leg. If we do have a leg and a leg, it's probably going to get us up here somewhere, so we'll see what happens. But we did react. I had a feeling we made it. We reacted off that trend channel and pushed up, so whether we're going to come back for maybe another retest of the lows here or push up. If you look what we did there, we came back, crossed over, pushed up, and we did continue on up. So I think there's a fair chance we could continue on up and you know, so on. So we'll just keep an eye on that anyway. So Jay, how you doing? So hope everyone had a good day yesterday. I had my one trade. I'm happy with that. If I get two, happy days. I would say probably 80% of the time I do one trade. Probably 20% of the time I do two, on the rare occasion. I had one the other day. I had three trades in a row. Okay, market is just open, hence a little bit of movement there. So let's see how we get on today. So up, down, up. So I think we've started a little bit sidewaysy. So just for now, I'm going to pop that there because we got 1, 2, 3, 4 touches there. So there is a higher low there. So we've got a channel break, new low. There is a higher low, but because I'm unsure of the day, I'm going to sit tight there because it's a bit too early to trade, I think, until I'm confident I know which direction we're going in. Now, we could push up, but we may continue down a bit, so I'm just sitting tight in that one. It is a higher low. If I genuinely believed it was a range, I would take it, but at the moment, I'm just going to sit tight. Because on the NQ, this bit here is sideways at the minute. Let's have a look. Yeah, we got this leg down and a bit of sideways, so it could come down a bit more, this. So I'm just going to sit tight here. I do like to make sure both are sort of at least giving me roughly the same picture. So yeah, it's a bit sideways, so you don't know whether it's going to come down. Maybe a leg, bit of sideways and a leg. So I'm just holding fire at the minute. Let's just check. I can't see something down here. So there is always a possibility we got something like that, in which case we come down for another leg and that would screw the pooch. We might have taken 2 points there, but having said this, this is just a possibility. It's really too early, I think, but it doesn't kind of look that bad, does it? So I'm just going to sit tight and keep an eye on that. Now, would this have made anything? So let's put it a tick above there. Not yet. Yeah, just got 2 points there, I think. Oh, tell a lie, my mistake. It's down here, isn't it? So you would have got your 2 points. Sometimes when the market opens, I like to just give it a little time because there's not a massive amount of volume so far, and it's not giving me a picture. or like that it's more lightly sideways, so I just don't want to rush in and it comes up next to the EMA and comes back down again. Maybe retest, so just going to sit tight. So, Indy, how you doing, buddy? Rodian, how are you? Late evening for you, or early hours of the morning, I'm guessing. So, this is doing what I thought it might. We got a leg down sideways, and it looks like we may continue on down. So, let's just have a wee little look at that. We got a channel there. So we're going to touch here, break new low. So I did like the fact that in fact, a couple of times there we respected it. 1, 2, 3, 4 times there. So I think from an early point of view, it does look like we may be going a bit sideways at the moment, a bit rangy. So the fact that we've done that, I think is an indicator we're finding some sort of a bottom. So hard to say at the moment. So yeah, the high low clearly worked, but my concern is we're still just under the EMA. We have had a break at a new low, but a lot of times we'll have 2 pushes down to a new low. So okay, this will be interesting. See if that bar gets stopped out there. So we've got a touch. 1, 2, 3 touches if you count that. It does look like a leg and a leg, doesn't it? Which means if it does continue, then I'll be surprised if this continues up. Leg, sideways leg. Okay, so we've got a double top there. Trouble is, I don't want to be going thinking short just yet while we're quite a bit below the EMA here, because it could just decide to. So that's interesting. So if we have 2 legs back, maybe a second entry long. The fact that we're this far from the EMA, I think there's a good chance we're going to push up soon, so might not be bad, but it would have to be one hell of a good setup really to get me interested. The fact that we've made a double top there straight away is just telling me just be careful. Let's just check my legs here. So it depends where you draw that from. I would tend to draw it from there and then go from the tops. We're not far off there now. So if we come down and hit that, let me just check there's not going to be an overshoot. I think that's right at the bottom of the trend, then I would expect it to pull back a little bit. There is a excuse me, you can count these and recount these. There is a second entry long there, but it's also congested, so I'll just be careful there. Might work, but I would sit tight at the minute. It's just a bit too early to jump into that. Sorry about this, I just get a bit finicky about that. Okay, so you can actually bring this is a bit too high. That is about right, so we've literally hit that right on the nail. So that has worked. It's a bit dangerous to trade that, in all fairness, but the fact that we've just hit that measured move and reacted straight off it, it's pushed that higher as well. Still too risky to trade that, in my opinion, but you may have done. But the fact that it hit that and then off we go, so it just goes to show these measured moves can you know, sometimes they're off all day long, and other times, just every time they hit, they're just so accurate. It is a second entry long. It's a little bit too far from the EMA for me, and there is a possibility. You know, whenever it's congested like that, it does always make it that little bit riskier. So I tend to stay out of them, really. I did actually look at that as well, but at the time we seem to be coming down, so there is a failure there. So try to go on, and it is within that little channel. So that might not have been a terrible trade, but at the time, it just looked like the picture was telling me we were going to have 2 legs down. So I stayed out of a long trade at the time. So let me just have a look at this. So if we are ranging here, which it's certainly possible, there is a possibility that we've had a break. We just could make an attempt to come lower and push up again. So yeah, we've touched there, and we've touched 3 times there. So same with that. 1, 2, 3, 4 times there. It is an area where it could lightly push off. There's nothing for us there, unfortunately. I thought if we can get maybe a failure a bit closer. Let's just keep an eye on this. Possible second entry short. I wouldn't want to be going short there. Well, it hasn't turned out. I'd expect a short trade there if it did to trigger and get trapped, because it's bounced off here, and it has done on here as well. So we'll just keep an eye on this. Okay, second entry short. I wouldn't want to be taking a short there, personally. Not because I don't think it necessarily worked, because we've bounced off what looks like a range bottom. So that for me would make that a little bit risky. Signal bars a bit naff anyway, but if that was bearish, I'd expect that to trigger and then push up. So it might not make it coming down. At some point it's going to break a range, but the fact that we've hit what looks like the range bottoms is enough to just keep me out of a trade. There is a second entry long there, but this has made an attempt to push down again, so I don't want to get into it, and it's way too far from the EMA. What I'd like to see is this not to hit the bottom and start to move up, which means we've come down and made an attempt to. As we pushed off this, what looks like a bottom, we made one attempt to go lower, second attempt to go lower. If that finishes bullish, I'd expect that to push up, but so depending on what goes on here, maybe a higher low here. Okay, the fact that that hasn't got to the bottom is a good sign for me. It's made an attempt. In fact, it's made one attempt and a second attempt to push lower, and it's failed. So, well, you could say we got a channel down, one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher, failure, push down, and it's pushed down a reasonable amount. So there is a second entry long there. At the moment, I don't really want to go long when this is all below the EMA, because it's. In fact, it might not be a bad trade to take, actually.
Order submitted.
See if we can get a higher low. Trouble is, at the moment, price is under the EMA, so
order
could get
canceled.
stung here. We've had a channel up, break, new high, try to go one strike twice, failure. In fact, you may get caught with a failure there. So we're trying again to go down. So let's see if that would have held. So I held back on there. You just don't know what's going to happen. Yes, if you'd have taken that, you'd have got stung. See, I'm not comfortable with going long when prices are under the EMA. I want to give it a chance to push above the EMA before I think about going long. So I absolutely get why people are taking that second entry long. Call that a new low. Try to go one strike twice. It's a failed second entry short and second entry long. But that's why I like using this, because price at the moment is below the EMA. So I really don't want to be going long. Now, there is a possibility of two legs back and another push up. We've had a failed breakout here, but at the moment, prices are still below the EMA. So I'm still sitting tight at the moment and keeping an eye on this. That's why I love having this, because there have been traders taking that. I dare say it is a second entry long. It's sitting right on the EMA. It's the type of trade that would work. We had a break new high, maybe a couple of attempts to go lower. Don't look for trades in the middle of a trading range. I mean, it depends what you're looking at, really. It sort of depends. Occasionally, I'll take them if I think it's, if I think the setup's strong enough. But yeah, we all have our different ideas of what to do and not to do. But I think you've really got to know what you're doing, or have a really strong. If there's a really strong setup, I tend to think a lot of traders will trade it, which will make it a little bit more reliable. But that's why I like having this. They're basically telling very similar stories, but while I've got conflicting pictures, this is showing me it's bearish at the time. I didn't want to trade there, but I mean, you can see what happened, can't you? But yes, I mean, really, I wouldn't mind taking a trade in this area if I knew what I was doing, because there is a reasonable amount to top and bottom, but it does get choppy in there, so you've really got to be confident you know what you're doing. We had this leg down, two attempts to go low and a nice big bearish bar. That type of trade I wouldn't mind taking. We got this leg. It's very much like a sort of a penguin style trade, that is. Why isn't that working? Bloody hate that. Annoys me sometimes. That's a penguin style trade. We've got a channel down there, one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher, failure. It's also a second entry short. That type of trade I want, as long as you know what's going on. But you have to know what's going on. So that did go up in the end, but at the moment price is still below the EMA. But yeah, so this is looking like now we've hit range bottoms, but in having said that, we are still at the moment in this trend channel, So this is a first break. So there is a possibility it could come down. But the fact that we've had this and we've faded back in would suggest I think there's more chance of going up. So that to me looks like a leg and a leg. And that would take us up. That would take us up. Sorry, it is a pain having this on. Have we been up here just once before? We haven't we? Yeah. That would take us up to towards the top, I think. I mean, that's possible. It actually fits quite nice. I mean, it could be something like that. It's hard to say at the moment, so it's definitely range anyway, so I think the chance of getting up to at least this level here is pretty good. There is a bit of support, and you can see it a little bit there. That's maybe going to cause us some problems, but we've come down again and pushed up, so we need to get above the EMA really. So we've had this little bit of a break, and we've come down to make an attempt at a new low. If we get a lower higher, let's see if this pushes it down. Kind of hope it does, because it will get us down to the bottom of this. Another thing that makes me wary about trading a trend channel is when we come up to the top once, we come up to the top again, and the next attempt we don't quite make it. So when we come down to the EMA, what I find is a lot of breaks come when we don't hit this area. When we don't hit the tops, we lose a bit of momentum, and I think in a lot of cases we get a break then. So if that is a channel, you think it's a channel, it kind of fits. It fits there, touches along there a few times, touches there. Do you have trading goals for this year? That's a good question, actually. I try to sort of stay away from monetary goals. Excuse me. That's a good question, actually. I try to stay away from. I know Max says a lot of times, you know, just aim to get 2 trades a day. Trouble is, if you do that, sometimes I find it can maybe force you into taking a trade, or you may just push your luck a little bit. So I probably won't go any type of monetary trades, but what I'm working on now. See, I don't have a problem with making money. I have a problem with keeping it. So what I'm finding now, every day I trade now, and I've noticed this over the last couple of months, I'm getting a lot more confident in my skill, and hopefully the confidence and belief I can trade will tip the balance in favour of me being a bit more successful. I think a lot of times when I used to get a new PA, I used to go for 4 or 6 contracts quickly just to try and get a bit of a head start. And I used to say to myself, now I'm going to do it properly. And I think the reason I used to do that is because I didn't think I was capable of getting it there over the line myself, and I needed a little bit of luck. And we all know how that ends. But I am getting more comfortable now. It's starting to feel like a job I've been doing for, quite a few years. I mean, if you guys work in your full-time job, when you start doing something like that, it takes time till you start to feel comfortable, and you don't have to think so much. I do find myself now, I can just look at a setup and either like it or I don't. So, what are my goals? I'd like to maybe... that's a tough question. I might have to think about that one. I just want to hold these accounts long. I mean, my plan really is to do what the Alpine trader does. Is he gets his account to over $2,600 and then he takes a $2,000 payment. So that account now has paid for itself. It's free money. And it's paid for itself about 11 times over. So then what he does is he reduces the contract and just lets it run alongside. And he uses the money to buy a few more accounts. So I think just to get some consistency, maybe some monthly payments, I think some regular monthly payments. I hope that made a bit of sense. Yeah, just to get a bit more successful at it, better at accepting losses. But as I'm getting more and more confident as in my trading, I think the losses will seem a little bit less relevant, if that makes any sense. So, but I hope we're all going to do well this year. I hope we all have a better year, because it is a tough business, and it does mess with your mental health, doesn't it, at times? And you know what? I genuinely mean that when I hope people do well. I love hearing stories about people making withdrawals. I know some people post their withdrawals on some of the Facebook groups and they get hammered for it. You show off, you this, that. I love it because it gives me hope. So I'd like to see us all do well. Okay. I had my suspicions whether that was going to come down or not. And we had a bit of a break. Well, in fact, we had this leg down. We had 2 attempts, and then we had a good strong push down. So this is really interesting. What about your goals, bud? What are your goals for today? I know you've only got so many words to type them in, but what are your goals? So we've got a drop down here. So this is this. So we've broken above here. Now, as we know, usually when we break above a bar, we get a bit of a pullback. I don't expect it just to rocket straight up. So maybe that pullback is just going to get us down here, maybe. It's hard to say, but we've had that bit of a push up. I mean, there is a possibility we could end up with a second entry long here, in which case it could come down quite a bit more. But I just want to be better at what I do. The bit that needs my effort more. I mean, the skill of trading just sort of happens, day by day. You get better at it without even really thinking about it. And I think you tend to not think about that side of it because so much of your mind is focused on the losing, really. You don't think about, the gains you're making in the skill department. And at some point, it doesn't matter what, whether you go to college or university, when you start doing your job, you'll feel new and it won't come natural. And at some point, it will start to feel like it's a job you've been doing for years. And at that point, I think then things just start to change. The frustrating thing is with this, because it's work on the mind and not the body, you can't see it. Like if you wanted to lift some weights or you wanted to lose some weight, that's a lot more visual. You know what I mean? My goal is 20 accounts and $400 a day. Well, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? 2 contracts. Yeah, I've thought about that myself. Now, it's hard to say. Christ, I mean, there was a point where I would be thinking about 3 trades a day, that's $600 a day. I would be overestimating it a bit. So I've slowly sort of come back down to earth, if you like. So if I could get the average of 1 winning trade a day, I will be over the moon with that. Because I think sometimes really good setups, I know we all see Mac marking a dozen setups, but if there really was that many high probability setups, he'd be taking them himself. So I try to think if I could get, trading 2 contracts, even 3 or 4 up, per week. That's over $500. That's over $2,000 a month. And if you're timesing that by 20 accounts, that's a fair chunk of change, isn't it? You know what I mean? But you've got to have your goals. You've got to have goals. All our goals are going to be different, but you've got to have goals and dreams and all this sort of stuff because it does help you push in and motivate you. Chris, George Best. I spent most of my money on drinking prostitutes. The rest I wasted. That's a great quote, that is. I've heard that before. That's a good quote, that is. I like that. George Best. Well, I don't suppose a lot of you US guys know George Best. Oh, do you? I can't remember. Did he live in the US for a bit? He was a footballer, I think, really, during, was it the sort of 70s, really? Was it the 70s? I think it was. But he was a sort of a womanizer and a big drinker. But he had a lot of charisma and you know. In fact, I saw an interview with his son, and his son's had drink problems as well, hasn't he? So whether you know, that stemmed from that with all the press and that. But I like that. That's a good quote, that is. So what are we doing here now? See, we got two different stories here. We seem to be going sideways here. See, there is a possibility that this is a range and this is just a failed breakout. So we've touched. We've had a break. We made two attempts to go high and we've pushed down and made a new low. So trouble is, while this is coming down, it's hard to know what to do, really. I mean, this chart's really messy, which I think is another plus for keeping an eye on other accounts. I noticed Thomas Wade is looking at, well, whether he's looking, I know he mentions the CL oiling, it is, isn't it? Crude oil and the NQ as well. So, I mean, really, if we have a day like this, sometimes it doesn't make sense just to sit and watch it. You might as well jump onto another chart that's a little bit cleaner. You know, as Mac tells us, price action works on any chart on any time frame. So theoretically, you know, the skills we use here can apply to every chart, really. But in all honesty, I'm quite happy with one trade a day. I'd rather wait for a nice setup and get one trade a day. And as I mentioned, you can make a ton of money from that, really. You really can. So we've had a break of possibly this. We're also at the bottom looking like we're pushing up. But we did there and pushed up and came right back down. So I'm sitting tight at the moment. This is rangy. We've come off the tops. In fact, I'm going to remove that. We've come off the tops. So we could, let me just see, is there an area where that's bouncing? It is a little bit. See, it's only been down here once, with the exception of sort of the takeoff part, but the way that's pushed up, there is a possibility. In fact, let's just bring that up to somewhere where it seems to fit quite nice. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3 touches there, 4 touches, 5. Let's just leave it there for a minute. There's a few touches there, and we've hit it there. Whether it will come down or not, I don't know. But that's the trouble, really. I mean, we do seem like we're bottoming, but we did there a bit, and then we ended up coming down some more. So I'm just going to open this up a fraction. Yeah, I think there could be a bigger channel there. So we've got 2 touches on the top, but we've got 1, 2, 3. It actually fits really nice on the bottom, which is always a plus. Regardless, anyway, we are making some bottoms here, so I would expect a push up at least to the EMA, if not maybe to retest this bottom here. There's nothing here, unfortunately. There was a failure there. It's a little bit sideways there. This to me looks like push up, bit of sideways, and another push up, but there's no setup for us really, so I can't get in on anything there. And we're a little bit congested, so you just never know, really. You never know when it might start to tank. But it does look like it's bottoming, so I would like to see some shorts trapped there, and then a push up. but that does look like a bigger channel. So we're getting two really conflicting pictures here. I need a bigger screen. I usually have it on the top sometimes, but I like to have a quick glance. Wow, look, down some more. Okay, we're at these lows now, so let's see what happens. Yeah, so if you decided to jump in there thinking we're pushing up again, it stung you. Market's very clear at taking out any type of weak position, it really is. So we're right on that bottom there. That's uncanny, isn't it? Literally, right on that line. Right to the nearest tick. I'm wondering whether this is going to break out of here. Well, temporarily at the moment, we are on the bottom, so I would expect at least a bit of a pullback. So that looks like a bottoming pattern. I bet you pound to a penny there'd have been some traders who bought that, thinking, yeah, we're bottoming. Look, we've hitting a load of levels down here. We're pushing up here, so they'd have traded that, or, well, that one triggered you, came straight down, stopped you all out. So we got a nice looking channel down there. So I wouldn't want to be selling here anyway, so I would probably expect it to push up at least, maybe to the EMA, or even maybe a leg and a leg higher. Okay, so we're up to the EMA there. Are we going to push up some more? See, there's always the possibility that we've made some more range bottoms and we're having a failed breakout. It kind of doesn't look like it, because we made an attempt to go higher and all of a sudden drop down some more. So Edward, you're going long, are you? Yeah, see, I couldn't go long on that purely and simply because currently we're in a downtrend. So you're going long. Your target is 178.70. 178. Oh, so your target is okay where that midline is at the moment. Yeah, right where the midline is. Is it the midline? Sorry, no, it's the open. My mistake. I mean, it's quite a tight channel, so I've been stung before. I tend to not counter trend trade at all now. I've been stung in the past, and I've had Mac telling me at me here for the last 2.5 years. And the fact that we've had a break, even if we had another leg up, we wouldn't get that far. So you never know. We might. I mean, it may push back straight up into the range. Who knows? Depends on your strategy. Everyone's strategy is different. So what doesn't sound right to me might be perfectly normal for you. So we've got a leg down, one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. See, what I'm seeing here is a leg down, one attempt to go higher, second attempt. We've struggled to get higher there. We've come up to the midline and come back. And here, I mean, there is a possibility that we could have a drop here. We're right at this line now. There's a break there, so there may be some longs taking that trade, thinking it's going to push higher. And it may well, but I wouldn't want to be going long there purely and simply because what I can see happening along here. Now the pattern so far is every time it gets this line it turns down, so in my opinion I wouldn't be thinking about trading here. And it kind of fits, if this does come bearish, it kind of fits what I'm looking at here. This looks like a penguin style trade where we get this leg down, we make one attempt to go higher, a second attempt to go higher and it fails and comes down. Because we've come off this bottom and we've only got so high up to the midline and it's come back. So, and what I'm seeing here at the moment, I mean, there is a possibility. I dare say now there'll be some 100% people taking that short there. But I still want to take this short at the moment because all this does look like a trend, as I mentioned. There is a possibility that it could just be ranging and it may push back in to there because this is ranging as well. That makes me think I never trade in the middle of a range. No, that's a fair comment. So if you're taking that short, and there will have been traders who've taken it. So where's this going to take us? See, that actually looks like a nice trend channel. It fits beautifully once, twice along there. It fits lovely on the back side and the top side as well. It does, even there, 1, 2, 3. But, you know, it's going to break at some time. So you're going for 870. Which is the open. You may get there. What I'd like to see is it come back a little bit and test this bottom of this range. If it is just a range breakout, trouble is because this channel as well, I would be personally holding off doing anything just in case it does come down and make a new low from this. This is looking rangy today, so maybe this is as well. Sometimes they do look different, but then things change pretty quickly. I mean, there may be a bigger channel there. I mean, the 4,000 tick chart is telling me we're just ranging at the moment. This is it. Although we do seem to be making possibly higher lows, it's hard to say at the moment. This is just the 10,000 tick chart. Did I say 4? Sorry, I meant 10. It's a bit more clear. This is, so it's just pretty much ranging at the moment. That is, yeah. So top. We do seem to be working high, so there is a possibility it could continue on up. Who knows? God only knows. Nothing I can do there, really. Does this look like it's going to push up? It does. Trouble is, it's way too far from the EMA for me. The only slightly good thing about it is it's bounced off that midline. That's bounced under it and dropped. That's bounced off it and dropped. But it's just still way too far, really. And we were up here last time, so there's not much room. So nothing for me there. You're 870, aren't you? Go on, push up. Wow. Took partial. Good on you, mate. Makes sense. It still could go up. It's just a bit slow here, isn't it? As we've had a break of this, you just never know ultimately. I mean, we could end up here in 10 minutes, couldn't we? So ultimately, you just never know. My only slight concern is that this channel, we've had a break of it, so there is a possibility we could come back a bit, make another attempt to go higher, and then drop. It's hard to say. Excuse me. It could really do a bunch of things, but I tend to just react to what I see. So this looks like a trend. So a trend channel. So it could come down and make a new low. It's hard to say. So I'll just be careful about going along, me personally. Although I don't trade this chart directly. It's just hard to say. It could do bloody anything, really. So this is it. It's an area, but it's not high enough for me to think about going short. Just keep it in mind, Jay, those evals, mate, if you don't pass them in a month, you'll get recharged for them again. You probably know that anyway, but I'll just mention it when you said slow and steady. I didn't know whether you were going to take 3 months. So whatever you pay for them, if you paid 80%, I think the next billing month will be 80% as well. So just keep that in mind. You probably know anyway, but I won't want you to get to the next month and think, why is this money coming out of my bank? In fact, you know what? There is a possibility there may even be something bigger. Yeah, no worries, mate. There may be a bigger channel working there. I kind of think there is. Move. Oh, I hate that sometimes. I wish these things can be finicky. I get a bit touchy about getting them right. So there is a possibility of a bigger channel there. I get finicky about getting them right, I do. It's the obsessive compulsive in me. Don't move now. Stay there. Okay. I wouldn't want to be going along there, so I often wonder when I see these bars like that, maybe I should just go short there, because I see them so many times they'll trigger above and come down and stop them out. I'm pretty sure it's already done it. Yeah. So hopefully, 5th attempt. Yeah, we may just want to retest this a bit. Yeah, see, I still have this thing on my mind that we've got a really nice looking channel there, so there is a possibility we could come down and make a... What I'd like to see is... I mean, depending on how you draw that, you could just say, there's your channel, we've had a break, 2 pushes up to a new high. Excuse me. Then we push below the EMA, come back and retest this a couple of times, push down and make a new low. That's what could happen. And we're actually at the tops on this now, so we've had a break and a new high, so keep an eye on this. There is technically a failure there, but you don't really want to be going long into all that because we're at the tops. It's way too far from the EMA as well. The fact that it works or whether it works is irrelevant. I mean, it could rock it up, but taking a trade like that for me is just, it would be reckless for me. Too far from the EMA. Trust me, if you don't do nothing, it push up every time. The second you get in, it'll trigger you and come back, stop you out. I do wonder sometimes whether the market's watching you. Because it just seems the moment you decide to do something. So there's a push up and a bit of a rejection there, right at the highs. So I'm looking closely at this. I'm not thinking about taking a short at the moment because we've had a break in a new high. You just don't know whether it's going to retest this and push higher. I'm not very good at picking tops, so I just generally avoid them. Let me just put that back a minute. There is a little bit of support along there. You can see it there, twice there, and another couple of more times there. So depending on how you've drawn this channel, whether you've seen that and a break and a new high, or whether you've adjusted that so it fits that, we've just got a break and a couple of attempts to retest the bottom of this, and it may continue on up. It may do, which is another reason for me not to take that short. Is the overnight highs here? Yeah, we're up to it. The trouble is there is a possibility we could push higher. We've pushed in and bounced there and come up a bit more, and we have made a couple of attempts to go lower. So I'm a bit unclear as what's going on here. There is a couple, we could make one attempt, two attempt, three attempt, and then come down, make, attempt to make the new lows, which would correspond with this coming down. There is a possible lower high there, which I kind of like.
Order submitted.
This is hitting support though, resistance. So what I don't want to do is get stuck here. It hasn't finished nice anyway.
Order cancelled.
If this broke below here and held, then I would take a lower high here because we've got a channel break at a new high. This could go either way though. It could drop down and aim to make a new low, or it could bounce off this, the inside of the trading range, or this sort of temporary trading range that we've put, and push up higher. So that's encouraging. As long as that doesn't trigger, it has triggered, and push above, I think we're good. So there's that lower high now. So this is looking like it may come down. So if we can get a bit of a pullback here, maybe get a failure. Yeah, see the way that came back, and it's a bit wicky there. I didn't want to take a short there. I don't know, it's almost neutral, that bar. And when that finished, we were around here, so too late for a setup, really. It's not the best looking lower high, that. So if we can maybe take a failure here, trap some shorts, bounce off this, trap some longs. You just got 2 points off that short, yeah. It just put me off that candle a little bit at the moment. This could have bounced. Let's see what happens here. So this is the time where you say that about taking a short here. A short like that, trapping this, I don't think would be that bad personally. Let's see how
Order
this forms.
submitted.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, mate.
Order cancelled.
Let's see what happens here. This is push through, isn't it? Yeah, you'd have comfortably got 2 points, but the trouble is, I mean, if it did that, you'd probably expect that to come back, but look what's happened. So you just never quite know what's going to happen, do you? I wonder, whether we are slowly working up. Look at this. Touch, 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 touch. You can't deny that. But I don't like to do that as a range, a channel. I like to do it as an area of interest because I've done this before. We talked about it the other day and it dropped straight through it. Someone said they went long there and it dropped straight through it because the tops are still suggesting we're in support every time we go up. So, So, going to break, new high, channel break. This could come down here. Actually, there is a short there as well. I still think there's a good chance we may come down. We've had this channel down. We've had one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. This could fail and push strongly below the EMA. That's what I'd like to see. But maybe it's not going to. But it is a penguin star trade, leg down. One attempt to go higher, second attempt to go fail. Let's see how this forms. I'd like this to drop strong. If it does drop strong, I may think about taking a short lower high here. But I am aware of that line is coming up, so. There may be some longs in there, pushed above the bottom of this range and touched, dropped below there, so there may be some longs there. I'm still keeping an eye on this. What I'd like this to do is push through the EMA. If I think this is going down, I may look for a lower high there. If you pick tops and bottoms, that's probably not a bad trade to take. But I'm just sitting tight at the minute. This is, it could bounce this. And the fact that, look what's happening here. Still reacted off that line, so I think the sensible decision would be to just sit tight. You can see that support along there. Okay, I think there's a good chance now we could come down, so see if we can get a lower high here. Or it could be a channel up, 2 attempts to go lower, and then a push up. I'm getting mixed pictures here. I don't think that was a terrible trade to take, actually. It's the second time we've been up here. You can see how it reacted there, and it's worked fine, that is. But as a general rule, I tend to not pick tops and bottom. bottoms, because every time I take one and they lose, I just kick myself. So I am beginning to think we may come down and make a new low. So we've had one push higher, second push higher, strong push through the EMA. I think there's a good chance we could come down and make a new low. That's why I was so careful about wanting to go long here, or thinking this was going up, because this channel, it's a really nice looking channel. Yeah, it does. It's a really nice looking channel, see, so I think there's a good chance we come down. Which... look, so if you took that one, you'd have done well out of that. It didn't bother me leaving stuff like that. My choice is to avoid them because I'm not very good at them. In the grand scheme of things, I don't think that was a bad trade to take. We've been up here a couple of times, and an attempt here, and a nice bearish bar there. So I'm pretty certain Mac would probably mark that. Sometimes you just don't know. That looked like it was going up, and then we dropped below it, so you just don't know. It's still a bit choppy, and as you said, with a bit trappy. So I tend to try and look for really obvious ones, and leave the sort of slightly more advanced trades out the way. But I get people who'd have taken that trade. If I'd have realised it was going to do that, I'd have taken it myself. Unfortunately, we don't have that. That's one superpower I failed to possess. Excuse me a second. Okay. So, we've had two pushes down. Are we now going to continue on down? So this is what I'm looking at now. So I'm just going to get rid of that line just temporarily. So far we're clearly just ranging, no arguing there, with the exception of a bit of a breakout. I mean, you could argue, in fact, that might not be a bad argument. So, as we know, often when you get a breakout, you get one the other side. So that might be a breakout of the top and a breakout at the bottom. Then we've gone back up to the top, back up to the bottom, and we've had another breakout here. So in which case, I would expect another breakout at the bottom, and that would coincide with the NQ making a new low. If we can get something here going short, then I would expect that to come further down. It wouldn't get me into taking a trade like that. It's way too far from the EMA, but I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if that just came straight down. Because I think this is likely to. I'm certainly not getting involved, but the natural next place is here. So there you go. It's exactly what it did. It's just too far from the EMA for me personally. This is interesting. This is interesting. It triggered below there and pushed straight up. Is it going to hold or? Another reason not to take a trade too far from the EMA. It may not make a difference. We've got a sort of a bit of a lower high there. I just don't like the fact where that triggered and pushed up strongly. So there were some buy orders below that bearish bar. I still believe we're going down. So yeah, so to me, so that did work. It's just too far from the EMA. It's a risk. I mean, if you would have been looking at this, you'd have never taken that anyway. Let's see what happens now. But after this, I think it's quite likely we might get one down here as well. Gap from yesterday closed. So leg and a leg. Are we going to get a second entry and come down some more? So channel down there, break. I certainly think it would be more likely we come down and make a new low. Here we come. That short at the top is hard for me to take after 5. Bull bars closing that one there. Yeah. Well, I had mine. I had that up there at the time. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's why I don't pick tops, because you just never know. I mean, yeah, you've got a bunch of bull bars and all of a sudden it drops like a stone. I think the reason I would take something like that is if it looks super good on here. And I thought this was going to, because if this comes rocketing down, this one will follow it. But it's not one of my strongest skills is trading. I mean, if you ever watch any of Mac's videos, you'd hear him say he loves trading range days. You just short the top by the bottom. It's not always that simple. If it lands and turns exactly the same place every time, then it would be a bit easier. But so that's interesting now. So there's a bull bar there. We've had a leg down. Are we getting 2 attempts higher? We may do. That would be like a penguin style trade. So if that finishes bearish, I would expect it to come down. So we've got a channel down, 1 attempt to go higher, 2nd attempt to go higher, failure. That's looking positive for me. So I think that's going to continue down, break below there, because there'll probably be some longs picking off that. So if that does come down below there, I can see us then making a new low of the day, unless that triggers and turns up. But it is congested, so it could do either or really. But I'd just the way it's looking for me at the moment, I'd say it would have more chance of coming down. I mean, there's nothing we could do here anyway. You'd be trading to the lows. But let's see if we get a bullish bar that triggers here and comes down. No, there hasn't. Be interesting to see whether Mac takes that or not. Trouble is, the thing is, you know, in hindsight, if you have that like that, you know, you go, yeah, a short here, channel break, new high, short there, short. It's easy to do that. But in real time, it's nothing like that at all. You haven't got that luxury of being able to see what actually happened, and it's just something you can't buy. That really, unfortunately, it'd be lovely to see what happened, but it doesn't work that way. I wish Mac would tell us, out of all the trades that he marks, which trades he believed were the best trades that you should take. He never sort of lets on, and I don't quite know why. The only conclusion I've come to is that he trades outside of his rules, and that's fair enough. You know, everyone will. You know, you learn the basics, then you find your own sort of style, don't you? It's the same in all walks of life. So, but I wish he would say that after, you know, what I've marked today, I would take that one and that one and leave the rest. So if you took that short, you just got stopped out. Reason not to take it is just congested. I mean, it does look like it's coming down, and it's still May, but it is a failure. But that's why failures struggle so much when they're stuck in the middle of that. I've been watching you for a while now, and I have to pay you a big compliment. Thank you, mate. You've taken a big step forward. Good. Thank you, BJ. I appreciate that, mate. We always like compliments. I appreciate that. Thank you. Hopefully we've all taken steps forward. I believe, this is just one of those things that takes time, and if you stick at it, it will come. Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. Edward, if the NQ is anything to go by, it's untradeable. Yeah. So what I like having this, because it does give you slightly different perspectives. And they do sort of work. They, it looks a bit different today. They kind of look very different, but they kind of work hand in hand as well in a strange way. Some days they're a bit different, but what I will say is, if this comes tumbling down, this will follow it regardless of whether we're bouncing off the bottom of a range or not. Thought someone might catch that. I bought it when it first came out. What have I missed? This came out. That sticks with me and kept me out of lots of trades. What are you on about, Chad? Thought someone might catch that. What are you on about? But using the NQ, you mean, or something else? What have I missed? It's really cool to see how Eric thinks. Eric. Oh, okay. I got you. TPT lectures, top pick trading. Oh, Marco and Taylor and that. Yeah, I got you. Sorry, bud. I thought you were about someone else. Taylor used to sort of make quite a few videos on his trades, but he's stopped, doesn't he? I used to kind of like watching him, but he's sort of stopped. I noticed Marco hasn't posted a chart for the last couple of days. I know I had a brief chat with him a couple of weeks ago, because he stopped doing the bar by bars on a Friday instead of Mac, and he said he'd been ill. He'd been trying to catch up and trying to get. I didn't quite know what. I didn't really want to ask, but. Okay, so this has made a bunch of attempts to go lower now. Is this just a failed breakout, or are we coming to the top of another possible channel? That's a possibility. I mean, this looks like it's holding below the EMA. I still won't want to go short here. Not after we've bounced off there a few times. Doesn't mean it won't go short, but top pick trading they are. Do you have to be a member to look at the lecture? I suppose you do, don't you? Top pick trading. Marco's involved. Jay, are you on the Facebook group? Are you? Because if you're not, I'd definitely join it because it's useful. I'm not sure whether you are. I'll just get it up for you. That one there. That's it there. Max price action. If you're not a part of that, 100% sign up. Post your charts there. Get help. I did that for a year and a half. Put my charts there every day and just ask for feedback and constructive, criticism, so on. But part of top pick trading is Marco, which is one of the mods. Is to call them mods? One of the admins. Sorry. You can guess which trade Mac actually. He kind of says so. He's told me that before. He says if you listen, you can kind of tell. So you listen, and sometimes they go, I like that to go along with something. You can listen, but I still wish he'd tell us, because I think when you're learning from somebody, it's always nice to try and get into their head. I find, I don't think he purposely holds back, but I wish he'd open up a bit more. I wish, because sometimes when he goes into things, sometimes when he has a bit of a rant and goes into things, I kind of like it because he opens up a bit. And I kind of like that, but sometimes he's quite quiet in that sense. I'd love to have a one-on-one with him. I'd like to go out for a few beers with him and pester the hell out of him with questions, I gotta say. So we are struggling to get up now, so I wouldn't be shocked in the slightest if we came down. Equally, I wouldn't be surprised if we went up. So, just can't trade this at the moment. Price is above the EMA, although it's looking a bit precarious. Maybe I've put that down there as a possibility if we come up here and bounce and come down, but we have made a bunch of attempts to go lower there, and we had to break those lows, and we haven't quite hit it, but this just might be a slightly a broader channel. If Mac really wants to help people and not make everyone guess, ask questions in the forum, struggle and make it easier to learn to trade. I have asked a few times in the forum. Actually, go through the chart like Thomas ATP. Yeah. I just, you know what it's like sometimes. You want to get into someone's head, don't you? I have asked a few times in the forum. But what I do like about it is he doesn't just give you a 2-word or 3-word answer, does he? He'll give you he'll have a conversation with her. I kind of like that. He must get pestered to shit with emails. But in fact, his last message I actually saved. Where did I put it? I was having a bit of a downer at the time. Where is it? Might be in here. Mac's message. There we go. Yeah, there we go. That's the one I had last from Mac. He doesn't just give you 2 words. You think if he'd have a ton of messages, he'd do it quickly, wouldn't you? But he doesn't. He quite happily chats away to you. I like that. But he just says, welcome to the site again. Everyone goes through the same process. I try to limit those kinds of losses. So I'll leave that there for a second. And if you want to sort of look back on the video and freeze it. But I just sent him some pictures of stuff and some questions. And he says, you've proven you can do this. So get your mind set when you're about. I said I can hold and I can seem to build an account. But when I seem to hit a loss, I really seem to struggle. Those emotions just seem to take over. And he was kind enough. I like the fact that he does that. You just think if you got that many emails, you get a couple of lines and that'd be it. But I like the fact that it gives you his time. And not many people would do that. I mean, it's almost like a page of a book, isn't it? But not showing how to draw, talk about anticipating what might happen next and how to attract, more importantly, why and how to wait for those things to give. Yeah. I know he's talked about retiring a few times as well. I don't think it'd be long. I think I came into this. I think we're all in this at the right time, actually. Because when I was learning to trade and I was looking at some prices, some courses that people take, and you can pay. I know a girl in the UK who's a trader who paid about $2,700 or pounds to do the warrior training, and she doesn't even use it anymore. She didn't think it was very good value, so you can get stung for a lot. When I found out Mac was charging £125, I couldn't give me money quick enough. I think what you get value for money, it doesn't even come close. I mean, it's absolute peanuts. $4,000, did you really? Oh my good God, yeah. And when Mac charges you $125, I mean, he could charge you 10 times that, really, and it would be worth it. Okay, so it does seem to be reacting off this top line. I put that there about 5 minutes ago that there was a possibility it could. And it's hit that and sold off quickly or pushed through the EMA. Now, whether that means it's going to come down is another thing, but it's a good sign. but it is still congested and choppy. So, and it is here as well. So I wouldn't even consider trading here at the moment. See, 1 minute it touches there and drops. Next minute it starts to reverse. So you never know. Pay £12,000. Oh, you're kidding. That was okay. If you feel like you've got value, then yeah. Someone compared Mac to Wilson. Wilson's a lovely lad. He's a lovely guy. I spoke to him lots of times, but he's at the same level as a lot of us, really. Mac's a seasoned trader. I believe he's been trading for over about 28 years. I think he's a seasoned trader. But he's a nice guy, Wilson, he is, but he has his struggles, the same as us. As we know, he's back on some evaluations at the moment. But I don't like to see anybody. Look at that, see. We've had a big bearish bar straight off there, and look what's happened. It just crosses straight over and pushes up. He did. I got to say, when I think he's been doing it a little bit longer than me. I've been trading. Well, I've been trading for a little over 3 years, but I'm trading with this style of it and with Mac for a little over 2.5 years. And he was trading at the time. I think he'd done 3 or 3.5 years. I think he was trading at the time, and I think there was a lot of discussion at the time. Was he trading for real or trading for a sim? Now we obviously know it was a sim, because wasn't he trading like 30 or 40 contracts? And he seemed to kill it. He seemed to be making money after money, because I thought, this guy is making a fortune. And there was a bit of a conversation one night up 60. Yeah, there was a bit of a conversation one evening on the Facebook group, and someone said, "No, I don't think he's doing it real." And another guy said, "He earned $1 million last year. You're full of yourself, full of crap," and all that sort of thing. And then a few months later, he started to do an evaluation. So, but I think he did put in the fine print that he's not saying this is a live account. And I think it just rubbed a few people up the wrong way. But you know, everyone does things for a reason, don't they? But yes, Wilson, he does. I don't know. It's hard for me to say, really. I think he tends to take a lot of trade sometimes, and I'm always a little bit unsure about people who are taking lots of trades, because there just isn't lots of trades to take if you're taking picky and choosy trades. But I know sometimes he sort of comes over as a bit of a nervous trader. But he's absolutely a really lovely guy to talk to. If you talk to him, he's really nice. He's got some lovely words to say. You know, days when I've had tough days, he's helped me out, and he's messaged me and asked my opinion on how many he should trade and stuff. But yeah, I mean, trading's different for all of us. I happen to think it probably took me a bit longer than most. Not so much the skills side. I think I'm okay at that. I think I'm average about that. But just the psychological side, I'm very stubborn, and I know I've thrown lots of money at absolute anger and frustration at this. But, you know, we all learn things slightly different, and we all slightly adapted as well, you know. I don't know how many times I've changed my ideas about going for this amount of points or this amount of thing, and I think it's probably normal. I did have an email from Mac maybe a year ago, and he said it's perfectly natural to be constantly on the lookout for new ways to cut corners, to make things easier, to help you make better decisions. It's perfectly normal as a trader to find your own way and style of do, so don't necessarily fight that. But I can be quite, you might have gathered by now, but I can be quite indecisive about stuff. It's something that annoys me, in all honesty. I seem to change my mind like the wind sometimes, but, you know, I think it's just a part of who I am, and it's something I've just had to sort of live with, really. And I am quite a wired person, so I can be a bit jumpy sometimes at making decisions. You know, if I was a guru, I would be as transparent as possible. Wilson didn't say he was trading a sim. He wanted to make, yeah. Yeah, I think that come back to bite him in the arse a bit. I agree with him trying to fool people and make money. Yeah. Everyone's got their own idea, haven't they? I respect your lines. I appreciate that, mate. Thank you. Trouble is, if you hide things from people, you're hiding them because you're not happy with what you're doing yourself, I don't think. But it is a tough business. We all know that, don't we? If you've been in trading, I don't want to say for 6 months. I mean, if you've been in trading and started to put some money into it and you realise how emotionally in turmoil you can be sometimes, it's horrible. I mean, to be honest with you, I mentioned this before. In the 30 years I've been with my wife, she's seen me brought to tears 3 times. Once when my daughter was born, once a little bit just over a year ago when my mum passed away, and once when I lost my 4p accounts. I don't mind. I broke down in the kitchen. I put my hands in my face and I was sobbing my eyes out. I felt absolutely sick. And I can't think of any other job that I've ever done or any other job that I know anybody else has ever done that's you resorted them to tears. Because in normal life, if you had a job where you come home and bulge your eyes out, people would say, you need to change your job, mate. So it's one of those things, isn't it? You've just got to sort of try and put up with it and try and bounce back for it. But for me, it's not from lack of ability why people can't trade. It's just lack of that determination to come back from your failures, because I don't think there's many jobs, or I don't want to be ignorant by saying this, but for me personally, the jobs I've come across, I don't think there's many jobs that can crucify you literally as many times as this type of job does. Now, I'm not saying if you're in the medical profession and you're seeing horrible things and, you know, road traffic accidents, you're not going to come home and cry your eyes out. I absolutely agree you are. But you wouldn't expect to feel like that doing this type of job, but it can be absolutely mind-numbing at times. You can feel physically sick. And I don't know how many times after the stream I carried on revenge trading, just jumping in with 10 contracts, trying to scrappily get a couple of ticks. And I could feel my heart beating in my mouth. And I was sweating. I remember once walking away from the chart and my heart was elevated for about half an hour after. And I did say to myself, I got to stop doing this. It's you're sort of really being cruel to yourself in a way. But it's just so hard not to. You know, you make some money and then somebody takes it away. You want it back. Not only do you want it back, I want it back now. I'm not prepared to wait to tomorrow to get a clean, mind and come back stronger. But it's all part of it. It's the only way, really. Everything I've ever read about trading, it's about changing that mindset. This thing's going off like a bloody bomb, isn't it? It's firing off in all directions. There is a higher low there, but it is a bit congested. This does look like we may be pushing up, but it's a bit congested, so it might not be the best decision. But it is a journey, and what I will say is when I left school, I went to college for 2 years and became a chef. And I used to admire people who went to university for 5 years and did a degree, and they spent all their time studying and working just to work on their career. I never. The only reason I got into being a chef is because I had a girlfriend at the time that dumped me for a chef. So I thought I'll become a chef myself and get her back. That's genuinely how I started. And I actually really enjoyed it because I was always an eater. I always enjoyed eating, and it was a job I enjoyed, but the money's crap and the lifestyle's crap hours, long hours, weekends, bank holidays, Christmases. And at least where I was living at the time, I was about to move abroad. I was about to go and work with a British survey team in the Antarctic as a chef. I'd even gone down to London and got measured out for all my Arctic clothes, and then I ended up meeting a girl, and everything changed. So you just never know what's around the corner. But the way I see this is my university. This is my investment in my career and my job, and something I want to do for the rest of my life. Something that's going to give me the freedom more family time, hopefully more money. So I see this as my little university, you know, the times where I can keep studying in the evening and stuff like that. But another thing I mentioned the other day about if you go to university in the UK, you can expect to spend about £9,500 per year for a course. That doesn't include, you know, materials, books and all that sort of stuff that you're going to need. So I think a 3-year university degree in the UK, you'd be looking at £30,000, which is about, what, $37,000 to $38,000. And that's an investment in your career. So if you have put a lot of money into trading, just see that as your investment in your career. Don't feel too bad about it that you've put a lot of money into it. You are attempting and hopefully succeeding in giving yourself a career that's going to give you so much more time off, so much more family time, nicer holidays, better money, and you don't have to work for no one who doesn't appreciate you. You're never going to lose your job. You're never going to get sacked. You're never going to get made redundant. As far as a business goes, it's probably the perfect business. You've got little or zero overheads. I can't think of a business where you need so little than trading. A computer and internet connection, which every Western household probably has.
From Etectics.com. Every home today has an internet connection and probably wireless connectivity too.
They aren't even Alexa thinks so. I don't know what made him chirping. I'm glad he's on my side anyway. But yeah, as far as a business, there's so little overheads, isn't there, really? I do wonder whether we're still going to drop. You know, we've made an attempt to go higher, 2 legs back. We've made a second attempt to go higher. We could fail and then drop. Let's bin that for the minute. Off the channel, VWAP. I don't use VWAP, but where is it at the moment? Are you on the ES, are you, Jay? 21 EMA. Oh, it's here, is it, at the moment? Roughly here. Okay, so you're thinking it's bouncing off it. Yeah, we do seem like we've had the break of this channel. We've had a break of it. We've made 1, 2. We've made a bunch of attempts to go low. We could still come down. I'm seeing this like the penguin guy. We've had one attempt. We've had one attempt to go higher. We've had a second. I don't know why I've done it like this. And we've had a second attempt to go higher. So one attempt, second attempt. It could drop. I wouldn't be surprised because there is a bit of a channel, but it's very congested. So we do seem to be struggling to push up. So I wouldn't be surprised if it does drop. Too risky, I think. In the middle of the range, yeah, there's nothing you can do here, really, is there? It'd be a bit hit and miss. It could go up. It equally could come down. But I tend to think at the moment this is a channel down with one attempt to go higher, 2 legs back, and a second attempt to go higher. And if it fails, it could come down. So it could just be leg up, 2 legs back, leg up. So a bit of a correction before it comes down. See, on this day, I don't know. This is ES and this is NQ, but this comes down. This will. We've broke above here, so you know we could have. You know, I mean, if that was a chart, sort of leg down, another leg down, we could come down and retest this again, giving us effectively on the daily a second entry long. So it certainly could come down. And I know this is the EMS took a trade. I haven't taken a trade yet, Edward. I haven't really said anything I like, to be honest with you. Sorry if this is in your way a bit. But okay, so that's dropped below the EMA now, so I have a feeling that this is going to come down and make another attempt. So this does look like one attempt, 2 legs back, a second attempt. And if it fails, which it's looking like it has, this to me looks like we're going to have a leg and a leg. So that would be my educated guess. Certainly nothing I can trade, in all honesty. I can't go short into that lot, regardless of whether I think it's going to go or not. It does look almost like a bomb blast, doesn't it? We got them shooting off in this direction and then shooting off in that direction. Or a really bad hairdo. It's pretty hard to trade that. I mean, you can see there are, you know, leg break, leg break, leg. But there's been nothing which I would... There's only one I would think that maybe... we got a channel down here, one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. That one there, it is a second entry short, but it's so early on in the day that I didn't want to take that. It is a second entry short, and after this channel, there's 2 attempts to push higher, so I don't think that will be a terrible trade. But I wasn't here then. Failing that, there's nothing here. I did look at that one. Second entry long off there, but this didn't look right and it's congested, so that for me was something I decided to stay out of. There's nothing really. If this gets below that bar there, I expect that to come down. So here's our low of the day. And I think that's come down far enough now that I expected to hit that. That's why I couldn't really think about going long on here, hence the same here. So it does look like, see what I mean about this comes down, this will do the same, although they kind of look different in a way, but they're sort of kind of the same. Trouble is, I mean, there was a failure there, but because there is a bit of a looking channel, you just don't know when it's going to trap you and go long. So it's just choppy enough to keep you out of things, really. Okay, so we have eventually made a new low. That's why I had to take into consideration that, because it looks such a nice looking channel. As we know, in a majority of cases, when it has a break, it will make a new extreme, which it has. So it'll be interesting to see. So there's always that possibility. This is just a bigger range. I have a feeling it may be one of those days today where we ain't going to get a lot done, but kind of don't mind that. If we get no trades for the day, I kind of feel good about it that I've kept my patience. Don't know about any of you guys seen anything worth taking? It is a messy old picture, that, isn't it? Took a short on the NQ. Yeah. It's definitely clearer on the NQ. This is messy, but that actually doesn't look that bad, really, does it? It looks pretty straightforward. We've got a channel down break, a few temps higher, and a new low. So would I have taken anything on here? Got a leg down, 2 attempts to go higher. Break. I don't know, maybe a lower high there, back to the EMA, possible. See, that to me Looks like a channel break and a new high. Well, actually, 2 pushes up, 1 push up, bit of sideways on the push up. There's a lower high. There's a failure there. It's above the EMA. But the channel break. There is a second entry short there. That one possibly. I think it was small enough to take. But it's definitely a bit clearer. It's a lot clearer than the yes, this is just, it was a mess, quite frankly, isn't it? I wonder if we are coming down here now, because we got the overnight lows down here, so there is a possibility we could come down here. At the moment, we're sitting around this bottom. Okay, we're close to that measured move now. The way this was struggling like this, I see this quite a lot. It slowly grinds up and it looks like it's sucking in longs, and then all of a sudden drops. See, touch, you may have got in there, but you got stopped straight out. I can't see there's many long opportunities there, really. There is a bit of a green bar there that some may have taken. But that just looks like it's struggling, and usually when it's struggling, it means because it's struggling. And then we had that other leg down there. I had a feeling we may do because of this push down for the new lows. Personally, I wait first that current short interest I've played out, and then look for long setup structures clear. Trading range, sell the highs, buy the lows. Yeah. See, Mac makes range trading really sound really easy, doesn't it? In all fairness, now I look at that, it's probably not a bad place. Yeah, you've got that push up, but it often does that. It often rockets up. But we've got a couple of touches here. It's probably not the best, the worst trade in the world, is it? And I think sometimes how it reacts to it tells you how many people sold it. And there was obviously clearly some selling there, which pushed that down nice and strongly. So that's the thing about ranges. Sometimes they can just turn up and look like they're going to rocket up and just all of a sudden turn down. But I know I keep saying that I'm not very good at them. I'm not really, because I get wary of them, and I'm pretty sure. Didn't that Vlad say he doesn't do them? Doesn't he stick to maybe second entries, failures, and lower highs, higher lows? Doesn't he tend to stick to those? I'm sure and triple test. I'm sure someone told me he leaves tops and bottoms alone. I just find I don't have much success with them. And when I started leaving them alone, I always found if I picked a top or a bottom, for me, it felt like a 50-50 gamble, maybe slightly in my favour. Because as soon as I took them, I always felt nervous. So in the end, I just decided just to not bother. On the rare occasion, I may, if it's absolutely obvious. Vlad says he never takes higher lows. Does he not do that either? So he just takes. See, I actually prefer higher lows than second entries. Because there was a trade. Was it yesterday, day before, that someone took, and it looked like a nice setup. But I left it alone. Something didn't seem right. Sure enough, it triggered and came down and stopped them out. They couldn't understand why. The setup didn't look right for me. The context didn't look right. But another good reason sometimes to wait for the higher low, because the higher low then is usually confirmation you're not going to get trapped. and you know, you're thinking along the right lines. So I tend to find those more reliable than straightforward second entries. I mean, if they're obvious, I mean, if we had a channel like that and had a beautiful second entry along with a nice strong bull bar sat on there, and we had height to get up there, I would absolutely take them. But sometimes I find waiting for that, it's just out of experience, isn't it? I think you naturally adapt your trading to how the market treats you. And if you're battered around, you know, by a certain trade, you'll adapt it so, you know, the chance of you winning the trade is a little bit tweaked more in your favour. And that's how I think sometimes the higher lows and the lower highs can just give you that little bit more reassurance that you're thinking along those lines. So we've made that measured leg all bar a couple of ticks. And that's close enough, I think. And then we've just pushed straight up. So, yeah, it just seems like it might be a bit awkward to trade this today, really. In ranges, Vlad only takes third tests. No second entries. He doesn't take second entries. Low highs or higher lows. Well, I think it's this. Yeah, there's so many different ways to trade, really. I know Mac teaches us a way, but he did say to me in an email, you'll naturally find your own rhythm, your own way of doing things. Certain trades, I mean, if you take certain trades and they work effectively for you, it makes sense to stick to them. You know, but there are, you know, there's failures, there's second entries, there's higher lows, there's triple tests, there's traps and stuff. There are lots of different, you know, methods of taking bits of money out the market, and you might be particularly good at one, and maybe not another. But if you get enough of them and it works for you, I mean, you only really need to take one type of specific trade. If you can get one or two trades out of the market every day and be successful at it, just stick to what you're good at. But there is loads of different, you know, I know people still stick to 4 ticks, some stick to 6, some do 8, some, you know, I know Thomas Wade does 8 or 10, I know Taylor sometimes will do 2, 3 or 4 points. But it does depend on the context as well, you know. I mean, if we get an absolute beautiful channel up and a perfect 2 legs of correction and a strong higher low, and the market can go higher, you know, I don't see a problem going for 4 points, or at least maybe following up, you know, each swing or each bar if you want to take a bit more out of the market. There's lots of ways to skin a cat. So we've got a leg up there and a bearish bar which is triggered. So that may push up. There's nothing for me, unfortunately. Could go up, may come down, there may end up being a bigger channel there, it's hard to say. He also only takes fail second entries at reversal points, not as continuation patterns. I got you. Yeah. I suppose as we trade, you naturally have strong elements to your trading, and weaker ones that you may hold back on a lot of the time. You know, tops and bottoms is one of mine, as you know. But on the odd occasion, I have taken them if something is a bit obvious. I mean, that might be an occasion where I may pick a bottom if we get a failed breakout and we push in or something, you know, it's something strong. There are certains, but you know, you obviously got to make each you know, you got to make a decision on each individual trade. But it's a funny old pattern. It almost looks like the top of a bad hair day, doesn't it? But no trades for us yet. In all honesty, there's nothing I think I would have liked to get into. there was that sort of break in a second entry, but it's just clearly congested, so you just never quite know what it's going to do there. It could trigger you, make a triple test, and then come down after this channel. There's a bunch of stuff, isn't there? But I know what I do now. That the bit that makes me feel better about my trading now is I don't necessarily have to count. You know, first entry. I like the fact that I can pretty much look at it now and go, I either like it or I don't. How often does it disconnect? I don't know if I want to answer that question without touching some wood. It went off, I don't know if you remember, it went off about 6 weeks ago. And it went off about twice in 1 week. We recently had the Super Fibre or Fast Fight. It's a gigabit anyway. We recently had that fitted maybe 5 or 6 months ago. And when it's quick, it's brilliant. But apparently there's something called line lay when they lay it out that can cause problems. So it's only gone once that caused me a problem. I had a trade open. Fortunately, it didn't cause me any problems, but I've been thinking about this the last couple of days because apparently, you know, I always thought you can get one line to the account. You can get as many as you like. But what I do now is I have Rhythmic on an app on my phone because obviously I got my mobile phone data, so I can always go into that and close anything that might be open in Rhythmic. But you can only close trades that are triggered, not that are pending. So if you've got a buy order waiting to drag in, you can't close that down. But what also I've done now is I can log into the internet data on my phone to get NinjaTrader up so I can close those. So it's certainly an important factor because, you know, once you start getting multiple peer accounts, if something does go wrong, it could be quite costly. So I am tempted to get a second line. If I start to make a bit of money over the next few months, I'm going to invest a bit in it and to get a second line in. So that I can quickly, you know, sign it over to fast Wi-Fi. In fact, there was someone on here the other day. How do you get NinjaTrader on your phone? No, not NinjaTrader, Rhythmic, bud. There's an app, a Rhythmic app, that you can get on your phone. Can I do that? Yeah, there's a Rhythmic app. Tell you what. If I take that photo, I can send it to me and show you. There's a Rhythmic app. You probably could. The only issue with that is Wi-Fi. I think sometimes when you get out the confines of your own house and area, I don't know how good the Wi-Fi. See, I don't even use Wi-Fi on this system. I use I've hardwired it. I bought the connectors and the wire and the tools and that, and hardwired it myself. So because as we know, Wi-Fi can be a little bit problematic at times, so I just hardwired mine, and I don't, I don't have a problem with it. So yeah. Okay, so there is a I had a feeling we may push up there. We've gone in and we banked on this area. I've been testing home broadband again. 4G is more reliable. I have never disconnected. Yeah. On the odd occasion, like sometimes if I listen to music when I'm having a bath in the bathroom, it can cut out a little bit. So it just makes me a bit nervous. I know certain electronic devices can interfere with it. So for me, it was just a no-brainer. I just connect it straight to the router and it goes right into the back of my PC. But as you start to make money and you start to have money to risk, I think it's good to look at I'll move that over. It's good to look at the sort of those secure features to help you keep things, because if something goes wrong, the last thing you want to be doing is losing a bunch of accounts. I mean, what I like is that if you drop a trade, and even if it triggers, you stop set, and you're only going to lose a set amount. So, the damage can be minimal, but I believe you can go into Rhythmic and set a daily loss or an amount loss. So maybe you want to set that at, say, $500 or $600, so that if the worst comes to worst, it's just another line in securing your accounts. So there are things you can do, but I like to think that maybe another line might be another option for me. I don't mind paying £30, an extra £20, £25, £30 a month, just to give me that. And not only that, if my internet does go down for a couple of days, it's a couple of days where I'm potentially losing. This room is US 5. Yeah. Yes, it is. Sorry. Let me just... I'm trading the ES. This big chart is the ES, and this is just the NQ. I'm just using this as a bit of an anchor chart. But yeah, if I put that there, you can see that a bit then, can't you? So yeah, this is the ES, and this is just the NQ. I'm just finding out what this is doing and help me make better decisions on this. Crab Nation. Crab Nation German Steiger. That's a name and a half. Hi to you. Where are you from? I'm assuming. Are you from Germany, or is that? Am I stating the obvious there? Thanks for clarifying. Room for crab. Got you. So push in, break. What are we doing? So our push up, we've bounced along and we've pushed up. Are we going to trap some shorts now and push up, or are we? Has the market got other ideas? What I will say, looking at the 10,000 tick chart, there is a possibility of a downtrend there. We've obviously had a bit sideways there, and we broke out the top, we broke out the bottom, so we could go up, but there is a possibility that there may be some downwards stuff as well. Looking at selling the ES big today, are you now? Well, it's funny to say that. It's just that trend is looking like it may go lower. Now, looking on the daily, we've been respecting this channel up here, and we've obviously had that big drop. We recovered some of it, and we've crossed over and pushed up. So I wouldn't be surprised if we had another attempt to go lower here. We didn't there, it just pushed up, but the way that's holding at the moment, we had a bit of a push up. I wouldn't be surprised if you have a bit of a pullback, which would make sense. We've been hitting all-time highs lately, so we've really been doing lots of buying lately on that daily. You can see that. Let's open that right up, actually. There's a lot of buying lately. Looks like a leg and a leg, so we pushed up, side was pushed out, had a bit of a break, continued on higher. We're coming close to that measured move, so I wouldn't be surprised if we do have a bit of a drop. So I remember Mac's been saying we really overbought lately, but then we seem to be going just higher and higher, so you never really know is the answer. So had this leg, one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. I wouldn't be surprised if there's people bought that, but at the moment we're still above the EMA. And in all honesty, it's just congested there. This looks like it might be working up, so the last thing I want to do is think about a short there, trap in longs, but we got a leg up, 1, 2 attempts to go lower, maybe I'll push it up. Try drawing a line from the top to the right. Are you on about from here to here? I just had that on the 10,000 tick chart. There is a possibility. Excuse me. There is a possibility We're just above it at the moment. Maybe I can manipulate it a fraction. Yeah, it's possible. Anything's possible. You have a channel, do you? Yeah, it looks okay on the 10,000 tick chart at the moment. My only slight concern is that this looks like it's pushing up. So we've had this channel down there, we've had a break, and eventually we've come down and made a new low for the day. So that channel is played out. So we could reverse now. And the way that's looking, it's forming a nice looking channel. So I wouldn't be thinking about going long here, primarily because that's going up at the moment. So we've pushed in, we made one attempt to go lower, second attempt to go, so maybe trading something that wasn't that bad. In all fairness, for me, it's just a bit congested, so it just looks a bit crazy to go long into that rock, really, doesn't it? You just never know. So if this comes down to the bottom of this channel, that should come down to close within this channel. So now this looks like it's coming down and this looks like it's going up. A lot of the times they do work in tandem. Sometimes they're almost identical. But today it's looking quite different. I can only do the 5,000 tick chart on my stock. Can you really? Oh. That's strange. On... Oh, Top Stack X. Oh, I see. I got you. I got you. Are you, is that Laughter? Is that right? I haven't murdered your name. I apologise if I have. Are you trading on the NQ or the ES? Have I answered that question? Have you asked, I think? Looking at selling on the ES. Sorry, yeah, you're on the ES, aren't you? So you're on the 5,000 tick chart. Yeah, okay, let's have a little look. Tick. You have the 1,000, the 2,000, 5,000, but they have no tick count. Oh, I see. Okay, the 5,000 tick chart isn't. Let's have a look. Okay, so there's the 5,000 tick chart there. Seems to be rangy. We've had a break out at the bottom, and this looks like it's trying to push back in, and that corresponds with what the NQ is doing at the moment. So this looks rangy, actually. That's the 5,000 tick chart. This looks rangy. And this looks like we're trying to push back in, so it might have just been two legs, just a failed breakout. Made two attempts to go lower, and we're pushing up, so... it's just, we had that same thing. We slowly tried to work up, and then we had that quick drop. And we're slowly sort of doing the same. I don't think I can adjust this without maybe. Yeah, I can't treat this as a channel at the moment because it's just, it looks a bit odd. So if you were going to treat that as a channel, you may be inclined to be looking at shorts here. See, at the moment, the NQ is above the main. If that continues to push up, this one will follow it. So I wouldn't be shocked to see bars like that getting triggered and then stopped out. It is a second entry short. That signal bar's not fantastic, and it's on top of there. Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of that channel, in all honesty. I think it might just be 2 legs back, and now we're pushing in. It does look like a bit of a bull flag, though, that does. So I would expect that to have another leg, especially with what this is doing. I would think it would be lightly, so let's go for that. And then that. So that would take us up to that midline. Whether it works or not, who knows? I'm certainly not trading at the moment. I don't like what I'm seeing here. What I would like to do see is one of those. There is a second entry short. I'd like to see something like that trigger, touch this line, and then push up. But what I'm seeing on the this is looking on the bullish side at the minute, so I think that will be likely to push up. A lot of traders trade CFDs versus futures. I don't know how it works with CFDs. You guys got the day trading rule in the US. Doesn't matter over here. I can trade whatever I like. But I know futures is a way around that, isn't it? I don't quite know why you have that. Because if you're doing it, it doesn't make sense. Why have the pattern day trading rule, but when you can just trade futures? Whether they're putting that rule to protect the trader, or I'm not so sure. But if you're going to do that, why then let them trade futures? You could lose a ton of money in whatever you trade, really, if you don't know what you're doing. So. You're in Los Angeles, trade CME products. But unless you've got, is it $25,000? You are limited, aren't you, to what you can trade. I don't know too much about it because we don't have it in the UK. I can trade whatever I like, so it's not something I've paid much attention to. But so I'd expect that. I don't know actually. We got this, we got that. I mean, CFD, your broker is often on the opposite position. So in the US, it has been banned. I think, yeah, I believe it has. Unless you got over $25,000 in your brokerage account, I think it's $25,000. So I would expect this to push up for that measured move, but this is a bit congested at the moment, so I could probably fractionally move that. Okay, maybe that doesn't look that bad. So the trouble is I don't just trust this market. It's just bouncing all over the place. I wouldn't be shocked if it just dropped, but it does look like a bit of a bull flag, so you know, you take 3 trades a week. But you can trade futures. I suppose at least you've got the option to trade something, so that's a good thing. Not everyone's got $25,000 to throw at trading. I certainly haven't. Okay, so we're out of this little channel here. So it's still congested. It seems like it's struggling. This. I wonder if there's something bigger there. I'm just going to open this up a bit. There is a possibility. Have a look. Got 5 accounts, really. So there is a possibility there's something bigger there. May have a leg down and maybe another leg down. But it's a bit early, I think, to assume that that's what's going to happen. But what I will say is after we've had 2 pushes down, we've had this channel, we've had a break, we had a few attempts to go high, we come down, made a new low, and we do seem to be pushing up. So you never know, we could come up here, break, and end up the top. This isn't really telling me anything. It isn't really giving me a direction to trade at the moment, temporarily upwards. But it's certainly clearer than the yes. This is just bouncing all over the place. This thing, it just does look like a bomb's gone off. Yeah, I think with the age of prop firms, it's making trading a lot more accessible to traders, to people who want to give it a go. I mean, obviously, going back years ago, it would have cost you an arm and a leg to get a place. You'd have to go and trade in an exchange, wouldn't you? But, you know, with computers and technology now, we're lucky in a way. We've got opportunities that just weren't around 25 years ago. So we're lucky, really. You know, anybody really can set up a computer in the bedroom and make money. Or at least attempt to make money. Maybe that's down there. It is great to be able to do this, that technology allows you to do this. I mean, I love the fact that I'm chatting with some of you guys around the world. I mean, Rodian, probably in bed now, but he's the other side of the world, in Australia. Technology is amazing, really, that you can chat in real time with someone on the other side of the world. Still never ceases to amaze me. So we've got an uptrend here. I think it's fair to say we've likely got one there. You're still up, are you? Good lad. What a trooper. But yeah, it's great that you can just chat with people all around the world. It's amazing, really. It still blows me mind, technology, really. You're still there, are you? Good on you, mate. Poor old Rodian. It's probably early hours of the morning. What are you, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning? You're not usually with us this long, are you? You're a trooper, mate. I'll give you that. 340. Yeah, it is tough, isn't it, when you're in other parts of the world? I think probably can't sleep trying to. Yeah, it is frustrating. I think I'm quite lucky, really. I don't generally get to the chart till about 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the UK, so I'm quite lucky, really. I mean, if you're learning to trade, you could do your sort of 9 to 5, and you've still got 3 or 4. You've still got 4 hours that you can trade. So we're quite lucky in the UK. Obviously, you US guys, with it being, you know, the CME group US based, that's your normal working hours. So if you've got full-time jobs, pretty hard to get some trade time in real time. You know, you guys who are starting at 8 in the morning before the market opens and closing at 5 after the market finishes, you really don't have a lot of time. So I'm quite lucky in that sense. And poor old Rodian's got the worst end of the stick. Starts at 6:30. Of course, yeah. So you got north, south, east. You got the west side of the US. You're sort of 8 hours behind me. So yeah, you're even earlier, aren't you? So I definitely think I've got the better end of the stick. I do love the fact that I don't have to get up if I don't want to. You know, there's nothing worse than getting up and going out, especially in the winter months. Going out and defrost. There's nothing worse. I used to hate more than I wake up at 3 o'clock. 3 a.m. Wow. I would consider that absolutely crazy. We close this Monday. I don't know. We have got holiday coming up, haven't we? President's Day, 18th to the 20th. So, you may be right. Calendar. Let's have a look. 18th to the 20th. So the 18th is a Sunday, 20th is a Tuesday, so it's just a Monday. They just fit that round. So I'm guessing usually I think I think it's a half day, isn't it? DJ, how are you? Long time no speak to. How's that wife of yours? Hope you're well. Is she with you, or is she hiding in the background being pampered as it was Valentine's Day yesterday? How you getting on? You guys still trading? You still trading? I haven't seen DJ for a while. Yeah, she said excellent, good. You guys still trading? Oh, was it? Yes, you are. Yeah. Sushi hot tub last night. Good for you, mate. Good for you. I treated my wife to a big taste at McDonald's. We know how to live it up here in the UK. We had a big taste in a McFlurry. We thought we'd live it up. Good on you, mate. Good on you. Nice to see you back, mate. Nice to see you around. People come and go. It's kind of nice when people come back and say hello from time to time. I know Sam's taking a break at the moment, but I wondered whether he would sort of pop in for a chat. I know sometimes when I've tried to take a few days off, it's just so hard to stay away. It's like an itch that needs scratching. Oh, excuse me. Right, how long we've been going? 2.25 hours. Okay, I might take a quick break now. We're missing you, good mate. We're missing you too. There you are. How you doing? Greetings to you. Good to hear your voice. Thank you. Try telling me my wife that. I just annoy you. Do you know what happened to Moo Moo? I don't know, mate. In fact, I looked on his stream the other day. He finished 3 weeks ago. I know he's big into his competitions, isn't he? He does a lot of running. So I don't know whether he's away training for something or just whether he's taking a break. I don't know. Yep, was in a trade. Good. So how are you getting on? Are you finding some success, or are you still ticking over and moving forward? It is. I haven't changed much since I've spoke to you last. My trading's definitely got better. I still struggle a bit with the psychological side, but I do feel probably it is a tough ride, isn't it? There's no denying that. I think when you can start making money in this business, you damn well earn it, I think. I feel like I'm in the best place I've been for a long time, and I think what helped me was a break at Christmas. I've just decided to slow things down a bit. And just try and relax a bit more and not think about the money. It's hard to, I know, but I feel like I'm in a good place at the moment. I don't want to jinx myself, but I think I'm in an okay place at the moment. I've got 3 on the go at the moment down here. I'm taking them a bit slower. I've got 1 at 2 contracts and 2 at... Sorry, 1 at 2 contracts and 2 at 1. So I'm trying to just forget and let it build. Excuse me a sec. Okay, excuse me just a minute. I'm just going to take a quick 5-minute break. I'm just going to put that on there, and I will be back in 5. Okay, we're back. Cup of tea in hand. Okay. Okay, so we've got a channel with a break. So hard to trade this today, isn't it? I'll move this over a bit. Let's put that up there. Move this over here. Yeah, it does really just look like it's ranging itself now, doesn't it? So we got a channel with a break. So we've come off the top, come down the bottom, come off the bottom, eventually got to the top, come off the top, come down to the bottom, come off the bottom. That's an overshoot, I'd say. So I think there's a fair chance we could get up here. So if we can get maybe a leg and a higher low. But it's got to correspond with what I'm seeing here. Sorry, what was I saying earlier? President's Day, yeah. I'm guessing it is a Monday, isn't it? So I usually with these, I mean, you US guys will know more than me, but I know with things like Labor Day, Memorial Day, Martin Luther King Day, stuff like that, it's usually half-day trading, isn't it? I think Thanksgiving tends to be a little bit more. No, I'm pretty sure market's still open. I don't know. I'll have to check into that. I'm sure someone else will mention it. But I'm guessing correct. Yeah, it's usually, I think, just half day. I usually stick my nose in and just see. You never know. It could be a good day, but I suppose it depends. Depends what everybody's doing, really. See, I think Christmas before last, I had one of the best days I've ever had, and I think that was on the 27th of December. So you never quite know. But what I will say is one thing I've finally come to realise, that taking regular breaks from trading is only a good thing. And I had 10 or 11 days at Christmas, and I came back feeling like a new person. I really did. I can't emphasise enough, especially when you're in those early few years and still struggling, and that a break really does you the world of good. I hadn't taken more than 3 days off in the last 3 years in a row, and I absolutely felt like almost like I was reborn to a degree, without sounding too melodramatic. Half day, yes. Oh, that's a new face. J My, how you doing? Where are you from? That's a new for a new face. Yeah, it makes sense. I think most of the a lot of the US holidays really are. But I think it works different than the UK. Everything tends to shut. Well, some more banks, investment type places. But although I'm from the UK, I've never traded any types of UK markets. You'd think it would make sense being the UK hours, but I kind of like these hours. I like not having to get out of bed till 2 o'clock in the afternoon if I want to. I never do, but. So what are we doing here? We're just having a bit of a break, and we're eventually moving up. What I'd like to do is wait for a higher low. Oh, you're from the US? Excellent. I think most of you guys are. I think majority, I think you US guys. Atlanta, gotcha. Excellent. What sort of weather are you guys getting over there at the moment? I know we've had some snow over here, but it's better. You're Los Angeles. Oh, that sounds nice. In fact, I was browsing YouTube a couple of days ago, and I saw I think it's LAX, called it, Los Angeles Airport. like a live. They record planes coming in and out. Now you busy old airport there. I can't like watching those planes coming in and landing when you got weather, when you got bad wind. I don't know how those pilots get the things on the ground. It must be nerve-wracking to hell flying one of those things in when the wind's firing up. So I'm kind of hoping we're going to move up. We're going to push up. I want to go to England. Where should I go besides London? Depends what you like. I suppose if you like things like history. I mean, UK is great for history. I mean, where I live in Shrewsbury, you may not have heard Shrewsbury, but we had a very, very well-known resident of Shrewsbury, Charles Darwin. He was born here, went to school. In fact, I can go in his schoolroom every day of the week. It's our national library now. It's our library strippers. It's our library, where his old schoolroom. And right opposite that, we've got a castle, which is 800 years old. So, I mean, the UK's got lots of history, but I would say places like York are fantastic to go to. Places like York. Bath as well, another great place, where they've still got the original Roman baths that you can go and swim in. Yeah, there's some fantastic. You've got Stonehenge, which is not a million miles, about 80, 90 miles from London. Some great places. I mean, London is, I suppose, hustle and bustle like some of your bigger cities, but there are some great smaller, if you get up to the Yorkshire Dales, you've got some of the old little stone buildings and the Cotswolds and that. It's great for history and stuff like that, if you like that sort of stuff. You could visit me, absolutely. Shrewsbury is a great place, lovely little town, very safe, never any drama here. It's a beautiful little town, lots of Tudor buildings, black and white buildings, where they sort of tilt forward and tilt sideways, all made of oak, a few hundred years old. Abbey Road as well, absolutely. I think a lot of people like to come to the UK. People from the UK just want to get away from the UK. When you've got, I used to walk to work every day, and I used to walk the road that goes right between. You got 10 yards on one side, Charles Darwin School, 10 yards the other side of the road, you got the 800-year-old Shrewsbury Castle. And you tend to forget it's even there. You take it for granted. But Chester's another nice place to visit as well. That's only 40 miles from me. Come and visit me in the ghetto. I've not done a tremendous amount of travelling. We went for a phase of doing a bit. We got married abroad. Went to Kenya for a few weeks to get married. Been to Cuba. That's about as close as to the US as we've been. We've been a few places around Europe, but we're not avid travellers. Cookouts with my Mexican people. I do like Mexican food, but I don't eat a tremendous amount of it. Excuse me. It's not big for Mexican restaurants, the UK is, but I do like things like fajitas and, I suppose that's sort of mild Mexican food, but that types of stuff. We used to get, there was a restaurant chain in the UK. I don't think they're around anymore. I forget what they're called now, but there's not many places in the UK. We're not known for sort of Mexican takeaways. It's very much Indian and Chinese over here. God, I'm so looking for a lower high here or a higher low. We've had a break, a higher low. If we can get a bit of a pullback and look bullish, I think there's a good chance to get up to these tops. So I'm looking for a higher low. So leg up. One attempt to go lower, second attempt to go lower. I need that to come down a bit further though. Okay, that's a start. So let's get an order ready just in case. This needs to stay above the EMA though. Okay.
Order cancelled.
That's a shame. I thought channel there. We got a couple of touches there, few touches there, few touches there. Tops fit quite nice. Break, higher low, failure, trap some shorts. It may still work, but this is looking like we may have another push further down here. I'm guessing there may be some longs in that trade, so I'm hoping it won't come down here and it will continue on up. Okay, so there is a failure there. God, this is so tempting.
Order submitted.
I just don't know. I don't think it's bad looking, but that's why I like having this. This looks like it might be struggling. It is a failure, but I just don't know. There's something about this I don't like.
Order cancelled.
It is very choppy. It's such a choppy day. I don't think it's a bad trade, but I just... Another reason I like having this, I'm quite glad. I mean, it might work, but what it's doing at the moment is just making me a bit nervous. Siesta time, lads. We'll be back at 2. You take it easy, DJ. I'll tell you now, there'll be some traders in that, and it may work. The fact that it's struggling at the moment is making me a bit nervous. It's a funny old day today. It is around that midline. So, yeah, you just don't know. It could chop you up a bit. I mean, in the scheme of things, it doesn't actually look that bad. We've had a channel, and it looks nice. We've had a break of it, a higher low, and a failure. We're going to be trapping some shorts. It's lunchtime choppy in the US. Yeah. I mean, it may work. But I just don't like what I'm seeing on the NQ at the moment. We've had this channel down. We've tried to go higher once. It's congested floating around the EMA, so... but there will be some traders in that. I don't doubt it for a second. It's hard to put your finger on it sometimes. It's probably, for me, a little bit too far from the EMA. But it might hold. There's a second entry long there. Same again, too far. It's a little bit sideways. There may be some shorts trapped in there, so if we can get above these, that might be better, but I just don't like what I'm seeing here. This is sideways. That comes down. This is going to as well, and you can say goodbye to them stops. It might hold. This ends bullish as a higher low. Second entry long. The shorts are trapped, I believe. Might be better off putting a buy order one tick above there. I mean, you could just buy it here and put your stop below there, and it's a smaller risk. You may get away with the point risk. But it is a bit congested, just a little bit. I mean, it may work and rocket on up, but I just don't like the way it's... I don't like what I'm seeing here at the moment. Have you ever considered looking at different ways of trading? Not to alter the way so I'm always up to listen to other ideas and see how people trade. Absolutely. But I sort of, when I first started, the guy I first started trading with, he said, find a strategy that works and master it. And I think sometimes I know a couple of traders that I chat to with on and off seem to go from one to another constantly, different ones. So I try to maybe look at some people that I think maybe can improve the way I do things. Like I've ordered what's its book, Trading Price Action, what's his name, Al Brooks's book. So I absolutely agree that some strategies can sort of help you make better decisions. I agree with that. So yeah, I'm tempted to put a buy order one tick above there. What's that risk going to be if I do? Excuse me a sec. So
order filled.
Now I'm going to have a go at that now. Now we're above there. A bit more risk than I wanted. But a leg, sideways a leg. In fact, I think I should probably put that below there and take that a couple of ticks higher than I really wanted to go, in all fairness. So maybe the second entry would have been the better option. I don't really want to get out any lower than that. If I was going to take that, I should have got in a little bit lower, but then when we had this one and a strong push up there, it's a bit more risk than I wanted. But we got a channel there and we've come off the bottom, so I think there's a good chance of us getting, up here. So where do I put that then? Yeah, let's say I took that one on a limit order. I usually like getting out where these bars are.
Order filled.
Excellent. Okay, so it did work eventually. I think what I was seeing here was affected my decision making there, because I kind of like the trade. We got a channel up here. We got 1, 2, few touches here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there. 1 here, touching nice on there. So I like what I was seeing, but because we seem to be struggling below the EMA, I just wanted to hold tight a bit. And when it gave me that one and that pushed up, I think it was worth getting in on a limit order. Reason being, if you look at the day so far, this is a breakout of here, so I think there's a good chance we're going to get up here. So what I would probably expect is something like that. So that would make sense. Leg up. We've had a decent pullback. There's a higher low, failure there, and another higher low, and then a big push up. So yeah, cheers, guys. But I've started printing out a piece of paper which I have next to me. It says 3 or 4 things on it. Oh, it says taking a trade, look left. Excuse me. So I'm not, taking a short down into support. It says slow it down and then think. If it doesn't feel right, let it go. So many times before, I'd have jumped straight in there without giving it time. And I think what I've realised over time, market doesn't... You tend to think the market works quicker than what it does when you're waiting to get in a trade. Because when you're waiting to get in a trade, I think your heart rate is slightly more elevated and everything tends to speed up a bit. So sometimes you have got some time, and I think sometimes you're better off giving it a bit of time and getting some more confirmation, before you jump in. And I wasn't liking what I was seeing here at the time. I thought leg back. If we do have a leg back to this level, it may take that out. But it held, and then when it pushed above there, I did consider putting an order above there, and in hindsight, that's probably what I ended up doing. Because I got in a little bit... where did I get in? So I got in there, which effectively was 1 tick above there. So it's not a bad strategy that time. If you're going to go long, maybe go long as you're trapping some, because there's a second entry short there, a lower high. So if you're thinking we've got a leg down, we've got to have a couple of attempts up, lower high, there's probably going to be some shorts in there. So I think sometimes if you're going to go long, might not be a bad option to put it where you know it's going to hit. Some short stops, which hopefully then helps with the momentum. So everything's worked as it should. Yeah, excellent. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad trade. That I would have preferred that body a little bit closer to the EMA, but then when we trapped some more shorts and that pushed up, I think that's a good... I've noticed when you push above the EMA like that and stay above it, you usually don't get another leg down. Yeah, you're probably right, Chad. I think what was affecting my decision... I do ask myself the question, is it good to have this? Because... at the time there, the picture was looking pretty good, but I just didn't like what I was seeing here. So I think sometimes this may keep you out of a trade, but I think it'll save you more bad trades. It's definitely saved me a few trades over the last couple of weeks. And also we had maybe a week ago, we had a leg down and 2 lovely measured legs up and a nice bearish bar. But on the ES, it was just too far from the downtrend. But on the NQ, it was beautiful. So I got into that trade where I wouldn't have normally, and I made 2 points. So, yeah, sometimes, when that was below there, I think this break, and then we had like a second entry short, and we had a bearish bar, and I'm thinking... I would have expected to come down there, touch that EMA in reverse, but when it started to come lower, I started to question that. So, yeah, sometimes it can, it may mix you up a bit, but I think I actually find this more beneficial personally than Bookmap, because this just gives me a very similar picture but a slightly different perspective. And you know, sometimes you can misjudge what you're seeing here. You know, we're on quite a fine line. You know, it takes some skill to learn to read these, and I consider myself as just coming into the intermediate level, and I'm still getting it wrong. So I like to have a little bit more confirmation that I'm going in the right direction, and I think this helps me do it. So it definitely helps me, but sometimes it may, that may have rocketed up and I might have missed a trade. But, you know, it used to bother me missing trades, but it doesn't bother me in the slightest now. You know, if you leave a trade alone, one thing you can guarantee is you're never going to lose a penny. If I have a cable and fibre belt and suspenders... Yeah, it's just one of those things, isn't it? But you do get a feel and a gut feeling. You know, I notice now more I have a bit of an instinct and a gut feeling, and you learn that just by, you know, getting into trouble, I think, multiple times. So, you know, my picture was telling me, that's a nice trade. We got a leg down, we got 2 attempts up, so there's a second entry short there. Excuse me. So there's quite possibly going to be some traders trapped. And then when we had the lower high, I'm thinking now, this may not be a bad option, but I still have it in my mind that it's a choppy day, so be careful. So it's having all these bits of ideas and thoughts and trying them to string them together in something that hopefully turns into a winning trade, because it has been a funny day. Having said that, it has moved not too bad. You know, when you open it up, it's still relatively smooth. You know, we've got a leg, we've got a break, we've got a new high, we've got a leg, we've got a break, we've got a new low. You know, we've got a leg, we've got a break. So it's moving relatively smooth for a range day, because some days they can be really troppy, or whether I'm just getting used to sort of blanking out these areas now and waiting for more setups. But you know, I definitely seem to make better decisions and slowing it down for me. You guys hear me talk most days. You know, I've got kind of a wired personality, and I can get, you know, a little bit hyper and a little bit excited about stuff. So it's taken me a bit of time to just slow and think. And so far, I do seem to be aiming in the right direction. So what time is it now? In fact, I'm going to knock on the other thing now. Let's just throw that out the way a minute. What time is it? I usually do about 3 hours. How long have we been going? Oh, okay, 5 minutes under 3 hours. Okay, so let's just have a little chat about today then. So I've got what I wanted to do. I've got my trades. My trade, I'm happy. If I can get one good solid trade a day, I'm happy with that. I'd snap your hand off if you could promise me just one trade a day. You know, if you're lucky enough to get 2, or on the rare occasion I did the other day, got 3 in a row very quickly, then that makes up for the odd day that you blank. So let's have a quick look at the daily. We've come back here and we've pushed up. We had a bit of a pullback, but nothing major. So you just don't know, really. It's going to come up to this level again. I wouldn't be shocked if we did end up a little bit higher today. But it is just one of those days, isn't it? But, I mean, just by the side of it, you can tell we've just been in a bit of a range, really. But there you go. So that is me done for the day. Friday tomorrow. Which will be another week gone. I can't believe less than 2 weeks now we'll be into March. It's unreal, it really is. I don't know whether it's a good thing we're getting towards a warmer weather, or the days are going that quick that we're all getting older quicker. So there you go anyway. But primarily a range day today. Whether it'll do anything else before the day's up, and after a couple of pushes up, I suppose it makes sense, doesn't it? We often go up sideways. So there you go. It's been a nice chatty day today. We got a few old faces back. And a few new faces as well. So if you're new, welcome. If you're old and you come back, welcome back. So if you're carrying on trading, best of luck. I hope you get a setup. I hope the trading gods shine on you. But failing that, I will be back same time tomorrow, just before the market opens. So have a great day, have a great evening. Stay safe. And we will do it all again tomorrow. So bye for now.